I had the opportunity to sit down with Phil Fogg and Cliff MaGee and talk about the jet class here at Reno.
How did you come up with a name for the plane?
The nose art guy helped me. I hadn't been able to figure it out, and he said, well, why don't we do a good-looking Russian girl leaning on a pylon? We'll call her Fast Company. I said, that is great. I like that. Well, first of all, let me say that I got the airplane because a friend of mine, an older gentleman that I used to fly a jet for, bought an L-29 and asked me to go get it for him. Soon after, his health failed, and I bought it from him. And then I wanted to upgrade to the L-39, so I took the L-39 back to Wilmington, Delaware, where a fellow by the name of Dave Canavo works on these, and was willing to take the L-29 in trade. So I bought it from him, flew it back across the United States, and I fly it for fun all the time. And then I get excited when the week comes that I get to come to Reno. So we've equipped the airplane with cameras. We've got lipstick cameras and 2 DVRs that we collect the data. Makes good data for my analysis of how my race course went, for how the other guys were doing. And so I try to remember to get the cameras on. Occasionally I forget it. When I fly the airplane at home for fun, I often give rides for charity auctions, and I've raised a lot of money for charity. And I love that because I get to fly my airplane and we get to do some good for somebody. But I'll turn this camera right back on the person getting the ride, and you get to see their facial expressions and some really fun maneuvers, and sometimes it's really fun.
What kind of condition was this in when you bought the plane?
Well, the airplane was in flyable condition. It all been converted already to the Americanized, at American radios and instruments. When I got it, I was very fortunate to have a couple of guys on the small airfield south of Portland, where I fly out of, Aurora. They had a lot of experience with these. And so Chris Brand, my crew chief, took out all of the unnecessary electrical stuff that was weapons related, things related to radios and avionics that we didn't need any longer.
So no shooting anybody down anymore?
That's right. We don't get to shoot guns anymore at all. It lightened the airplane up a lot. Now, this is an early model. They built these airplanes from 1973 to 1985. This is a 73 model. Not very many serial numbers from the prototype. They're lighter. The younger they are, the lighter they are, so it made a very good racer. We took all of that out. We upgraded the cockpits with American words on all the switching, and we lightened up the seats, and I've done some fun things like polish all the aluminum in the cockpit and put the headrests in, just some sprucing up things. But the airplane really was in very good flyable condition. They're a very dependable airplane. They were built as a trainer for both the mechanics as well as the pilots. So they're easy to work on, and they're just a very dependable, fun airplane to own. The wingtips were a strictly racing-driven decision. I wanted to go faster, which is typical of any competition. So once I came here with my tip tanks and found out that there was an upgrade on the market, I purchased these and thought I would use them only for racing. But the good news was that they reduced the drag of the airplane equal to the amount of fuel that we carried. So I had 50 gallons of fuel out here in these tips. Now I get exactly the same, I get so much better fuel efficiency, I get to destination with the same amount of fuel as I had. So it was a very win-win process for me. Since these, there's about 4 companies that manufacture tips for them, so there's some alternatives available. The airplane has got a single engine, it's a single engine fan jet, produces 3,780 pounds of thrust, and this airplane empty is probably down around 6,400 pounds, which is very light. You'll find some of the later model ones that are up is probably as high as 8,000 pounds. So that lightness is a real benefit for racing the airplane.
What do you have to do for maintenance, either on an annual basis or when the engine comes up for renewal?
It's a very good question. The airplane flies in an experimental exhibition category. So when other airplanes have an annual, we have what's called an annual condition inspection. And it is similar, it can be signed off by an A&P instead of an AI, but it is similar to that. And we just annually go through all the fuel filters and all the things that are on that list. Apart from that, the airplane, as I said, is pretty dependable. We don't really have to do much to it other than fly it. We come to the races, we tape it up and add some covers to some of the, like that NASA duck. just for aerodynamic purposes. We fly with the air conditioning off, and we make some things that are just simply speed related. We get to the point where we're doing 30, 40, 50 things to go 4 miles an hour faster, so it's a lot of fun. Example would be that little blister. There's a small turbine called a Sapphire that's used for air starting the airplane. And we made that little fairing just to fair the exhaust from that so that we can try to go a little faster. When we start looking for things to upgrade the airplane, we go to the easy ones. So I had this stainless steel fairing made just to kind of polish it up a little bit. The landing gear is trailing gear, very easy airplane to fly, and that landing gear makes it pretty forgiving. So we usually can impress our passengers, make them think we really are good. But it's just a very, very forgiving airplane, I guess, because it was built for a trainer. But it's really a remarkably easy airplane to fly. Probably the slow spool-up time of the turbine is the only issue that requires some real advanced planning. You don't want to get low and slow and not have your turbine spooled up. It could take 8 to 12 seconds to get usable thrust.
What was your transition from the Formula Ones to this to get racing again?
I have a lot of time. I started out as a helicopter pilot in the military, having already received my private pilot's license before I went in. And then in the military, I flew OV-1 Mohawks, and a lot of higher performance airplanes that the Army had. And soon after I got out of the service, I transitioned into flying a lot of business jets. I have type ratings in Learjets and CJ citations, and so I've got a lot of jet time and turbine time. And so it was I think the combination of the course time in the Formula, flying that kind of and learning about the racing process, and then all the jet time I had sort of made it a relatively easy transition for me.
So what would you say to somebody who's a GA pilot and is looking to get into the races? How would you start?
I think that the important thing is that they know what their capability is and then decide where they want to start. And as we talked maybe earlier about formulas or sport biplanes, the real easy transition with an excellent pylon racing seminar that Reno has here, that is the right place to start. The beauty of that is you start at PRS and you decide at that point whether you like it or not. You get great coaching, great instruction, and then if you like it, then you sign up for your first race. And the nice thing about all the competitors is the camaraderie is great, and you get all the assistance you can use, and they sort of help you right along, and everybody helps you go through the transition process. But it isn't easy. It isn't for everybody. First of all, you have to like that kind of thing. Secondly, you have to have the sort of aptitude for that kind of thing. And then, but typically guys that get interested, who don't have the ability, they get weeded out in the PRS process.
What does it take for somebody to come out and race in the jet class here at Reno for the year?
These jets can be purchased from, I'm going to say $160,000 up. Once you own the jet, I budget $15,000 a year to come to the race. It all depends on how far you're going to bring your airplane. It depends on how much support equipment you want to have here. Do you want to buy all the t-shirts and the hats and things? I think it probably could be done for maybe closer to 11, but I budget about 15,000. They're improving the aerodynamics. They're taping everything that has any sense of creating drag on the air. Now what they want to do is have me get in there and close the cockpit and tape it shut. But so far we haven't gone that.
Well, the jet class was invitational only with some astronauts and some air show pilots. And in the year of 2000, 2001, of course, air races were grounded. And then in 2002, they came back on the invitational basis. In 2004, Reno recognized that there was a need for another class and that the jets had some popularity to them. And so we had an open qualifying with the stock L39s. Since then, we've opened it up to a modified pretty much an unlimited class of jet racers. You can come out and run your stock airplane, or you can run a true racing airplane. And we've been limited to one heat, but next year Reno is going to up our prize money to $50,000, give us 2 heats, and so we're going to have 18 racers. We'll probably have 21 jets here on the field. And what we're looking at is going through, we'll have a true racing class here, like we've seen in the L-29s that are going almost 540 miles an hour. And we're going to open up a sport class or a stock class so you can race what you brung. That means you can race your ride, you don't have to make any modifications on it, and you can just come out and have fun and fly your airplane where there's nowhere else in the world you can legally fly your airplane like you do here at Reno.
From the Reno Air Races, I'm Mark Chiolis for Plane and Pilot.